to my YouTube channel, Postcards from My Golden Years. I'm Ann. I'm so happy to see you today. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to thank my newest subscribers. I so appreciate it when I see the subscribers growing and growing. After all, it's a new channel for me. I only started making videos back in February, so every new subscriber is just the most wonderful, wonderful thing. I almost celebrate. So thank you, and welcome. Just look under the video, there's a little box, and if you hover over it, it says subscribe. Just click on it. And if you'd like a gentle reminder every time I upload a new video, just click on the little bell and you'll be notified. That way you won't miss anything. So, today's topic is how to deal with customer service issues when you're unhappy with your service or products that you buy or your meal at a restaurant. What's the best, most effective way to get some sort of satisfaction? Now, I know that there are a number of seniors out there, and maybe you're not real internet savvy, and you just figure, oh my God, I had a terrible meal at that restaurant. I don't know what to do. And you just sort of say, you know what, I'm never going to go back there again. I have to admit, in my life, I have done that too. I've simply said, the service was terrible, the food was awful, it took forever, I'm just not going to go again. In more recent years, and maybe since I retired a few years ago, and of course I have a little more time on my hands than the other people who are still employed. But in more recent years, I tend to take action when things are not to my satisfaction. After all, we all work very hard for our money, and if we are collecting Social Security, we all worked very hard to contribute that Social Security into the program so that when we retired and start collecting those checks, we would have a nice sort of little nest egg. I mean, for some it's bigger than others, but still, if you're on a limited income, you want your dollars to go far, and you want to make sure that you are getting your money's worth, you're getting the quality that you expect. So let me tell you how I've handled a few situations. Let's start with the cable company, Comcast, or Xfinity as it's now known. A few years back, before I found my wonderful husband, or actually I found him, but before we moved in together, fell in love more deeply and got engaged and got married and started living together, I was living on my own, and I had just moved into a condo, and the cable was not hooked up. And I had called for service. Service was supposed to have been completed on a particular day, and unfortunately, it wasn't. And this was when Xfinity came out with some new service, and I don't even remember what it's called now, but supposedly you could control your television with your voice, and it was supposed to be the latest and greatest thing, and that's what I signed up for. So the cable company never showed up, and there I was living in an apartment or condo in a complex that had been there for years. So it's not as though the lines were not brought to the apartment. I'm sure the person before me must have had something. I just wanted the service that I had signed up for, which was that new top-of-the-line program. I just wanted it when I wanted it. So I called Comcast many times to try to reschedule this appointment that was a no-show. And eventually, I finally got somebody to show up. And this man told me that the service that I had signed up for was not available in my condo, that the entire condo would have to be totally rewired, and it was going to cost X amount of dollars. I don't remember what it was because I didn't pay for it. I was really stunned. I had previously a marketing person call me on the phone and sell me this wonderful program, insisting that it was available where I was moving to. So in my mind, even though it was new, she told me it was going to be available. She set up the installation date. The people were no-shows until, I guess it was maybe a week and a half later, that I finally got this one technician to show up. And he's telling me that it's not even available. They didn't know who they were dealing with. I called back and I asked to speak to the head of customer service. The head of customer service, it was almost as though I had to start all over again. I had to tell them what I had signed up for. I had to tell them where I lived. I had to tell them what kind of service I wanted. I had to pretty much go through the entire order step by step with them, and then have them say, yes, it is available. Sure, I don't know why this other person told you it wasn't available. And then he did a little research and he said, oh, well, that was one of our contractors and maybe they don't know it's available. Very frustrating. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's gone through this. So again, he tells me he's going to set up a service appointment. The service appointment is for a few days later. Those people show up. They're there for about an hour, and then they come and announce to me that they can't find the wires, the wiring for that anywhere in the condo complex. And they don't know who promised me this, but it wasn't available. So here we are back to square one again. Meanwhile, I have no internet and I have no cable while all of this is going on. I was solely using the internet on my cell phone. Very, very frustrating. So they left. I called the customer service director again. I complained. That person apologized and said they didn't know what was happening. They would get back to me. 2 days went by, I never heard from them. Finally, I typed a very long letter to the president of Comcast. And I went online. And to go online to do this, if you have a problem like this, you go to google.com. And I don't mean to simplify it for those of you who are pretty technologically savvy, but there are some older people watching who may not really know how easy it is to Google information. So I went to google.com and I typed in Comcast Xfinity Board of Directors. And I got the name of all of the board of directors. And I then went and faxed my letter to the head of marketing and the president of Comcast. And I just sat back and waited. Within, I would say, an hour, I got a phone call from the executive assistant for the president of Comcast. And I believe his office was up in Pennsylvania. And she was apologizing for the complete disorganization within their company and told me she would get to the bottom of this. She called me back by the end of the day. She apologized for, again, the disorganization. And this time she apologized for the aggressive marketing person who sold me a service a product level that didn't exist where I was living. And so as a result, she set up service for the very next day. First thing in the morning, told me that there would be an installer there to install my cable, my internet. She gave me an entire month of service free and made a note on the account that if that service ever became available in that condo complex, that I would be offered this at a significant discount for all of my aggravation. So in that case, I didn't get what I wanted, no. She did offer me the opportunity to pay for wiring from, I guess, the poles somewhere out there nearby to run the wires all the way from the pole to my condo. But it was going to be hundreds of dollars, I think at least $500. And I wasn't paying that. I was certainly not in any financial position to do that. But there's a situation where if I'm not getting what I want at the bottom, go to the top. I wasted a lot of time. I should have gone right to the top within a day or two of not getting anywhere with the technicians, but I kept giving them the opportunity to fix the problem, and they didn't. So that's how I dealt with Xfinity. Don't deal with the little people. That's my advice. Give them one chance to make it right. And if they fail, find out who the president of Comcast is, find his phone number, his fax number, and fax him a letter or email him a letter. I like fax better. There still are companies that have fax machines. I know fax machines are becoming a thing of the past, but a fax, that's a piece of paper that just rolls out of a machine and somebody's got to look at it and do something with it. So that's why I like fax machines. I'm going to be awful sad on the day comes when there are no more fax machines, because that has served me in other situations as well when I needed help. Okay, next, the phone company. Have you ever changed your service from one company to another and tried to keep your telephone number? I did that years ago. I forget who the original company was. This was many years ago. But I was trying to keep my telephone number and move it to Verizon, which is what I had for many years since then. And it was all supposed to go through, but I continued to get bills from the old company for that phone number, even though that phone number had been transferred to my new company, Verizon, years back. I mean, we're talking about maybe a year and a half of bills that just kept coming. And I started out, I was just ignoring them, thinking that they must have crossed paths. Because when I set up the service, the old company knew that I was leaving their service and transporting that number to the new company. And the new company knew that they were picking up that number, and they even claimed that they were going to pay any charges that the old company charged me in order to cancel their service and move my phone number. I made umpteen phone calls. Again, enough with the phone calls. This time I went to Twitter, and at the time I didn't know the first thing about how to use Twitter. Twitter was like this newfangled thing out there, but I had heard, look for a company, look for whoever you're trying to do business with on Twitter and tweet them. So I did. And that's how I got the wheels to turn. I tweeted. It was my very first tweet, and it helped me resolve the problem with the continual bills for a service I no longer had. So if you have a situation like that, go to Twitter, twitter.com. For those of you who've never ventured over to Twitter, it's really not that scary. And it's so easy once you set up an account. It's very easy to send a message. You just find in the search, you search for the company that you're looking for, and as soon as you find it, there's a little box for a message, and you just type your message. And you have a limited amount of characters, and when you run out of characters, your message obviously has to end. Now, to be effective, don't just send a nice little message that just says, please contact me, I'm having a problem with your service. Oh, no. Start out your message like you are angry. Like, I have tried many times to get you to cancel this service, and I am getting nowhere, and say the worst possible thing that you could say about their company. You know they are not going to want that kind of a comment on their social media Twitter page coming through as a message. Let me tell you, within 24 hours of tweeting any company, you will get the wheels to turn. Years ago, I had a Blue Cross Blue Shield here in Florida, and I canceled that policy and switched to another policy within that same company. They kept billing me for the old policy. You would think that there was a connection somewhere in that company. You would think that when you cancel an insurance policy with Blue Cross Blue Shield, that it would trigger a closing of that specific contract. I guess not. Because then I started with my new coverage with that company, and I was paying the bills for that. But over here, I was still getting bills for the other coverage and past due notices and notices that they were going to cancel my coverage. Well, I already canceled the coverage months before. So in this particular case, I went to Blue Cross Blue Shield's Facebook page and I posted my problem. I simply said, I don't know what's wrong with you people. I have canceled contract number blah, 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 and you keep billing me. You've been billing me for months. I have a new contract. Here's my new contract number. I just say it right there out on the page. I have made many calls. Nobody answers the calls. You keep sending me collection notices. Why? I can only have one policy at a time. I also went to their Twitter page, and I tweeted at them. You know, within 24 hours, I had a customer relations person from Blue Cross Blue Shield here in Florida on the phone apologizing for their problems and telling me to just ignore all of the invoices, which frankly I was sort of doing anyway. But she said she would take care of it. It took a few more months, but at least somebody did finally cancel the account, and I actually got a notice in the mail confirming the cancellation of the account, which was in addition to the one that I had gotten when I canceled the account originally. So I had two cancellation notices for that very same account. But that's how I got things to happen with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And if you're having a problem with an insurance company and you have given up after you made a few phone calls trying to be nice, go to Twitter, go to social media. If they've got an Instagram page, go to their Instagram page. Anywhere that you can possibly post what's wrong, what your problem is. None of these companies want their dirty laundry, so to speak, out there for the world to see. They want everybody to think they are wonderful. And when some angry customer posts on their page, immediately the wheels turn. Here in Florida, we have a season, meaning that people from the north come down to Florida for the winter season, and they generally come, they start coming around Thanksgiving, and then by the time the holidays are over, we're pretty much at full capacity for seasonal visitors. And our seasonal visitors come here and they go to our restaurants and they expect excellent service, as all of us would if you're paying a lot of money. And when they don't get it, I have noticed, particularly in the last year, I guess maybe because so many people were home from COVID and only ventured out on a rare occasion to a restaurant. And if they went out and had a problem, it just ticked them off even more. But I've noticed in the last year that people who are happy with an experience that they had in a restaurant, they blast and trash that restaurant on Facebook. The staff at restaurants don't intentionally do things to piss you off. Seriously. They don't want an unhappy customer any more than you want to be an unhappy customer. But some of them are sort of powerless to do anything to make you feel better about your experience. It's very unfair to a restaurant that you had a terrible experience at. It's very unfair to just go blast them and bash them on social media without giving them an opportunity to at least make you feel better, give you an explanation, apologize for what happened. And that's what I normally do. So if I have a bad meal or an uncomfortable situation, I will call or email the manager. For example, here's a situation that happened probably about a year ago. We went to a very well-known restaurant in Naples, Florida. I'm not going to give the name because, they made everything right for me. But I'll just tell you about the experience. We love this restaurant and we go there. I would say in the past we had gone there maybe once a month, and on this particular, it was in the summertime. And here in Florida, because it's off season, a lot of the restaurants run specials. And so this particular restaurant had a steak sampler special. And you had several different cuts of steak, small portions, on a plate along with your baked potato and whatever. And the server said that he could throw on a little Kobe beef steak as part of that sampler. And we said, well, is it included? And he said, I can make it included. I'll just throw it on the plate for you, and you'll have that too. And it'll be wonderful. Just imagine, I have all these cuts of steak and one of these fine pieces of Kobe beef. So we said, sure. He never said to us that it was going to cost us an additional $60 per person for that one little piece of steak, which was maybe that long and maybe sort of like that. It was just a little rectangle of steak for $60. But we didn't realize that it cost us $60 until we sort of woke up from our stupor. We had been sitting outside. We had been drinking champagne, a lot of champagne, as we do sometimes. So clearly we had a bit to drink. We were not drunk, but we didn't pay particular attention to the bill. The bill came, and our check was over $300 for 2 people for dinner, with a summer steak entree special. And I think the special was like $50 or $59. So my husband just simply paid the check. It was over $300 with the tip. I mean, we did have a bottle of champagne, not the finest champagne, but a moderate cost. So I'm sure the champagne contributed a little bit to the bill. But we literally just paid the bill and left, and the service was fantastic. Our server could not have been better. So the next morning when we woke up, we started talking about how much that bill was the night before, considering we went there because of their summer special. And my husband took out the invoice, or the check, the guest copy of the check, and he looked at it, and it still didn't make sense. And we started doing the math in our heads, and it just wasn't quite right. So the next day, I happened to be downtown in Naples for some other reason, and I took that invoice over to the restaurant, and I asked to speak with manager, owner, and I explained that we were regular customers and that we came for this special, and admittedly we had a bit to drink. We were totally blown away by the check. It just seemed so much higher than we had expected it to be. So he pulled the check from their file to see what we had, and he said, well, you know that this was for the Kobe steak. And I wasn't sure what he was talking about. And I said, well, the server said he would just throw it on and include it as part of that deal. And then so the owner was explaining to me that particular piece of Kobe steak that he had purchased, the whole steak, I think it was like over $1,000 for, I forget whether it was a pound or what it was. And he said, so the $60 per person was for just your little sampling of that steak. I told him that the server was fabulous. You always want to lead with the good stuff, build up the positives. And I said the server was fabulous, the food was delicious, even that Kobe steak was like butter. But the server didn't tell us it was going to be $60 extra to throw that on our platters, and we felt that it was unreasonable. And he understood, and he apologized, and he said that he admitted that perhaps their servers are not as aggressive in filling in the little details. They're so aggressive about getting you to say you want that piece of Kobe steak on your plate. They leave out the fact that it will cost $60. However, if we had said to him, how much extra will it cost? Of course, he would have told us. We did not say in those words, how much extra will it cost? We simply said, oh, you can just add it? He said, sure, I'll add it. Sure, we can add it. So the owner, chef, manager of that particular, I don't think he was the owner, I guess he was the chef manager, man large and in charge. He felt terrible about what had happened to us because it was $120 more on our bill than we had expected. And he said to me, What can I do to make this better? I don't want to lose you as a customer. And so I thought about it for a moment. And I said, how about a nice little gift card? Because I know gift cards don't cost a whole lot of money. There's a huge markup on food. And I'm sure he knows that too. It was less expensive for him to give me a gift card than for him to give me $120 back. Because the gift card, if we came back to the restaurant and spent $120 next time, we would be spending $120 retail on food that maybe cost him $10, $15 to prepare. So it was a good deal for him, and it was a win-win for both of us. And I was happy, and he was happy that he could make me happy, and he didn't lose a customer, and we've continued to go to that restaurant. But that's how you handle a situation with a restaurant. Don't go to social media and blast them. Now, had I gone to a restaurant that had treated me terribly, and had I spoken with the owner or manager at that time, and they refused to do anything about the problem, or they were rude, well, absolutely. Then I would go to social media and I would put a review. I would talk about my experience at that restaurant, and I'd make sure that I clarified the fact that I had actually been talking to the manager or owner who refused to make things right. And in that case, I would be justified. Okay, here's another situation. A department store bill. I was dealing with, and I'm actually going to say the name of the store now. I was dealing with Macy's, and this was over last year during the COVID time when a lot of us were doing a lot of online shopping, and I ordered a pair of shoes. And not expensive shoes, but they were about $60, so not cheap shoes. So when I received the shoes, the packing slip and the box had the correct information and the correct color. However, when I opened the box, the shoes were a different color, and I didn't want those shoes. And at that time, the malls were closed due to COVID. So I tried to email Macy's, and I never got a response to my email. I tried to call, and there was a recorded message saying that due to COVID closures and reduced staff, they couldn't take my phone call. But you know, they kept sending me the statement for those shoes. I'm not one to leave a balance on my statement, so generally I pay it off when I get it. And they kept sending me a statement. This went on for 2 or 3 months. And I tried every which way to get in touch with them, knowing that the store was closed and that I had to be somewhat patient. Well, my patience wore thin, and I didn't want it to affect my credit, because now I'm getting threats that they're going to close my account over a mistake that they made. They weren't responding to my email. They weren't taking any phone calls. I was really frustrated. So I went to their Facebook page, and you got it. I blasted them on the page, and I messaged them through Facebook Messenger. So now they had my message for everybody to see, and a copy of it was sent through Facebook Messenger. Just like it always happens, within 24 hours, I had an email response from a person through Facebook Messenger apologizing for all of the problems. I told her I wanted to return the shoe, because here I couldn't return the shoes either. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, because I really wanted the color that I wanted, and the box said it was that, and the packing slip said it was that. So before I returned it, I wanted to have correct information. So the woman sent me a shipping label where they were paying full postage or full shipping to send it back. And I told her that I wanted to send it back through the post office so that I could just hand it to my mail carrier when he came to pick up the mail the next day. So she sent me a USPS paid shipping mailing label to slap on a box, and I was able to send it back. She told me and made a note to file and confirmed it that as soon as they received the shoes back, it would be removed from the account. She stopped all the collection notices. She took the account out of collection over this nonsense, and everything was exactly the way it needed to be. But just like everything else, when I got to the point where I just wasn't getting anywhere, I went to social media, and within 24 hours, I got what I needed. So now here's the last one I want to talk about, is buying things from these companies in China. As with a lot of you, I like to buy things online, and there are companies that you see their fashions on Facebook, and they look really cute, and they're very inexpensive. And I have no problem buying things from China, and I realize the sizing's going to be different, and in some cases the quality isn't going to be there. I allow for that. So I placed an order with a company for a top that was, let's say, $19, and they gave me a discount because I bought two things. So I bought two things, and I think it was 5% off or 10%. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I bought two things. The total was $45 in round numbers with shipping. So I guess about a month later, both items arrive. And the one is okay. It was just a t-shirt, and it was fine. I mean, I wasn't buying something to wear for a dressy occasion or to give me a polished look. It was really just a cute shirt with a lot of hearts on it to hang out around the house, and I thought it was really cute. So that was fine. I got what I expected. The button-down shirt the fabric matched pretty much identically. However, the shoulders on it started down here. Now this was just a straight button-down shirt with a print, and it had, I forget the collar, kind of a stand-up collar. It was buttoned down, but it had a stand-up, not a fold-down collar. And I had intentionally ordered it a size bigger than I would normally order it, because again, a lot of things you get from China, they're always small because it's based on the sizes of Asian people, which tend to be smaller than us, the rest of us, many of us. I have to be careful. Smaller than me, let's put it that way. So I put this shirt on, and not only was the shoulder down here, but it was like all puckered. And the bottom finish on the bottom of the shirt was starting to fray. So clearly it wasn't stitched well, because the fabric was starting to fray at the bottom. And I couldn't wear it with the shoulders here, and it was supposed to be a 3/4 length sleeve. So I put it on, and I was basically swimming in the shirt. It was miles too big for me. I should have ordered a size smaller than what I normally wear. So I contacted them and I said, I would like to return the shirt. The shirt doesn't fit. There's something wrong with the way it was made. The seamstress did not attach the sleeves correctly. Either that or it's so large. The whole thing was a mess. So now it had been shipped to me from California. They responded the next day saying, oh, sure, we're sorry you're unhappy. However, we would like you to send that back to our factory in Guangzhou, China. And we need you to send it using a shipping method that will provide a tracking number. So, of course, that is priority mail. When I went on the post office website to find out how much it was going to cost me to ship that shirt back, it was going to cost about $33. Now, the shirt was $18.28 plus $12.99 shipping. They were only going to refund the $18.28, they told me. They were not going to pay the cost of my shipping it to Guangzhou, China. So they wanted me to pay $32 and change to send it to China so that they could send me a refund of $18.28. I wrote them back and I said, I'm not sending it back to China. That does not make any sense. It's over $32. Are you aware of that? I said, if it was you, would you do this? They said, okay, we're sorry. Instead, we'll offer you a 35% credit on your account. Well, the credit equaled about $6.60. So meanwhile, I had spent $18.28 on the shirt, $12.99 on shipping to get it here, and they were going to offer me $6 and change to make me feel better. I said, no, that is not happening. So, having purchased in the past from China and paying for things through PayPal, I had very little hope that PayPal was going to help me with this. So I went directly to my bank, which is where the money that went through PayPal had been drawn from. I used my debit card to make the purchase, so it all went through my normal bank account. So I called my bank and I explained to them what happened, and I said, look, I'm happy to return the shirt, but I'm not going to do it at my expense since the entire shirt was not made correctly, and they're refusing to do it. And the guy was very empathetic with my bank, and he said, unfortunately, because you paid for it through PayPal, they processed the payment. You have to file this complaint through PayPal. So I sort of cringed, and I thought, okay, well, I might as well say goodbye to the money. I lost the money. Wrong. So I thought, well, why not? I went to paypal.com, I found the transaction, I clicked on it, and I filed a dispute. And in my dispute, I told them what had happened, exactly as I'm telling you. And I said, I am happy to return the shirt, but they should pay the shipping back because I'm returning it because of nothing that had anything to do with me. It's not that I didn't like it, it's that the shirt was not made correctly or the sizing was off. It's just not able to be worn. And I mentioned that the company was refusing to do anything and they wanted me to spend an additional $30 to ship it to Guangzhou, China. So again, I didn't think PayPal was going to do anything. So I waited later on, and PayPal has a process where first you file a complaint, and then after a certain period of time, you can escalate it to a dispute where you're requesting a certain amount of money. So I waited a few hours and I thought, I might as well just escalate it now. I'm not going to get anywhere with these people in China. I mean, every night I was getting a different email from them. With the time change, they were communicating with me like in the middle of the night. So I would wake up in the morning to a new email, again from a different person, telling me they were sorry that I was unhappy, telling me they'll give me 35% as a credit to be used on a different purchase, or I could return the shirt to Guangzhou. So the next morning I woke up and there was an email from PayPal in my account telling me that that PayPal decided the dispute in my favor and they refund the money. Not only did they refund the money I was requesting for that one shirt and the shipping, they refunded the entire purchase, the $45 purchase. They totally refunded it and said, we're sorry you had to go through this. Here's your money. I was stunned. I didn't ask for the refund on the other shirt, but for all of the aggravation, I had been communicating back and forth with these people, again, for several days, giving them the ability to change their minds and agree to pay for shipping and all of that other stuff, and they still weren't. And even after PayPal had issued that refund to me, I had still gotten another email from them. I guess nobody there in China bothers to check their PayPal account, again asking me if I wanted the 35% credit or if I was going to return the shirt, and I just haven't responded to them. I went to my bank account to see if the money was in my account. The money was in my account. I went to my PayPal account to see if that had cleared the PayPal account. It had cleared. It was done. The dispute was closed, and I moved on. So, it does pay to file complaints and get those wheels turning. For the most part, whenever I have gone to the effort to get satisfaction on a purchase or service or a meal, what have you, out in the world, I have gotten what I wanted, sometimes even more. I don't think that people should let companies and restaurants and businesses and services get away with giving people bad service, bad products, or unacceptable issues. And I think that if we don't call them on it, they'll just keep on doing it to other people. Especially if it's someplace that you really enjoy spending your money, wouldn't you rather bring the problem to their attention so that they can make it right for you, so that you'll continue to be a customer? I always think the best way to handle things is how you would want them handled if it was your business and somebody was unhappy at your business. How would you want that customer to let you know that they were unhappy with something at your business or some product you provided or service? How would you want them to do that if it was your company? And that is pretty much how I guide my decisions. I hope I have helped some of you or all of you who may have had a problem in the past, or maybe you'll have a problem coming up in the future and wondered, how am I going to handle that? Oh, I remember what Anne said she did. I hope that my solutions to handling my issues that got the wheels turning for me, I hope that you will be able to use some of those things to get resolution. So thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope that I have given you some great ideas for solving your problems or resolving issues in the future. If you're not a subscriber, why not? click, click, click. At the bottom there, just click the little subscribe box. If you'd like a little reminder every time I upload a video so you don't miss anything, click that little bell. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and feel free to comment so that I know that you're out there alive and watching my video. I can only grow my channel with more subscribers like you. So bye for now from sunny Southwest Florida.